Welcome to Chapter 7, Section 8, Estimating with Percents. To begin with, you need to make sure you know these equivalent percent fractions, okay? 20%, 1/5, 25%, 1/4, 30, and so on. All right, it goes all the way down. These are some main percentages. The reason you want to use these is if I said something was approximately 65% and you had to estimate, you could use 2/3. It's approximately 2/3, because 2/3 is equal to 66.6%. Very close. So please keep these percentages in mind. So estimate 49% of 320. Since 49% is close to 50%, or 1/2, you can round 302 to 300, and all you have to do is take 1/2 of 300, and that is approximately 150. So that means 49% of 302 is about 150. You're using these approximations. Estimate 80% of 1,605. Well, look at 80%. Look at this little table here. Okay? And decide what is 80% close to. Well, hopefully you say 4/5. So 80% is 4/5. And if you round 1,600 to 1,600, you can then do 4/5 of 1,600. All right? That's how you could set this up. The note-taking guides say to look at this and say, all right, well, 1/10 of 1,600 is 160. It means you divide by 10. So 8/10 is of 1,600 is 8 times 160. And 160 times 8 is, let's see here, that's a 0. Or 1,280. Now, you may be wondering, where did we get 8/10? Well, right here, we have 4/5. 4/5 is equal to, if you multiply both numbers by 2, 8/10. You could also say that 80% is 0.8, which is 8/10, or 8 over 10. So by doing that estimation, 80% of 1,605 is about 1,280. So let's estimate this. 26% is about 25. So round 26% to 25%, which is 1/4. And since we're looking at a 1/4, take 120. And if I looked at the first two numbers, 12 is easily divisible by 4. So 1/4 of 120 is equal to 30. So when you answer this, you could say 26% of 122 is about 30, and you could be done. 40% of 1,270. Well, this time 40% is right here, and we're dealing with 2/5. So 40% is 2/5. And 1,200 is 1,207 rounds easily to 1,200. All right. Well, this is like one of our other examples. You could multiply by 2, divide by 5, but take the 2 and convert it. multiply both by 2, and you get 4/10. And earlier we said, well, let's pretend for a minute, and let's just say, what is 1/10 of 1200? Well, divided by 10, the zeros cross out, and it's 120. Well, we have 4 of them. So that means 4/10 times 1,200 is the same thing as 4 times 120, which gives us 480. So 40% of 1,207 is about 480. All right, if I were you, I would go about looking over these examples again if you had trouble with them. Because we're going to start on this. A CD that originally cost $11.90 is on sale for 30% off. If you have $7, would you have enough money to buy the CD? All right. So to determine whether you have enough money to buy the CD, you need to estimate 70%. Now I know it says 30% right here, but that's 30% off of 100%. So you start with 100% and you're taking 30% off, that gives you 70%. Now, looking at our key concept here, 70%, 70% is 7/10. So we need to estimate that 70% is 7/10. We also need to look at 1190. Oh, here we go. This is the example here. So we could use 7/10 if we want. Seven-tenths. So this isn't part of your note-taking guide, but 70% is 7/10, and 1190 is about $12. So now it takes a little bit more math. 7 times 12 is 84, and that's 84 divided by 10, which gives us $8.40. Okay? But there are some other ways we could estimate to make it easier for ourselves. So remember this. This is absolutely fine. But we're going to estimate 70% as 75. Now you might be able to see 75% is 3/4. And since $11.90 is 12 about, you can simply write a proportion. 3/4 equals something 12ths, and multiplying by 3 tells us 9. So it's approximately 9. And if you remember earlier, it was 840, so we are very close to our estimation. This is method number 1, using a proportion. Method 2 would be exactly what we just did. 70% is 7/10. That's $12. 7/10 of 12 is 8.4, or $8.40. So since $8.40 is, I guess, $1.40 more than $7, you would not have enough money. Right? You don't have enough money to buy them. All right, let's take a look at this. A poster that originally was $14.90, right away you should be telling yourself $15, is on sale for 40% off. So 100% minus the 40% off gives us 60%. Would you have enough to buy the poster? So $15. There are 2 methods. The proportion way, which says that 60% is 3/5. And so you take 3/5, make it equal, this is proportion. 3/5 over something 15ths. Well, we have to multiply by 3, 9/15. So it would be approximately $9. Or we could just straight up say 3/5 times 15 is equal to 15 over 1. 3 times 15 is 45. Divided by 5 gives us 9. So do we have enough? You should say yes. All right, here's an example. Here are some of our percentages. Please note that 23% is probably 25% if we estimate. 26 is 25%. 33% I would say is 33%. And 18% is very close to 20%. So 25, that's 1/4. 1/4, 1/3, and 1/5. So the question here, Claire surveyed her classmates about their favorite vacation spot cities. Predict the number of students out of 234 who would prefer New York City over the others. So 26% is about 25 or 1/4. 234 is convert round 234 to 240. Oops, 240. And 1/4 of 240. If you do the division, 240 divided by 4 is 60. So about 60 students would prefer New York City. So the answer is B. Try this one. Let's take a look back at our choices. So 8% is about 10% or 1/10. 12 is about 10% or 1/10. 33 is a 33% or about 1/3. Both of these are 25%, and I'm just estimating, and it's 1/4. That's what you gotta love about estimations. So it's asking for Italian restaurants. Well, Italian restaurants, 10% or 1/10. 318 is pretty much 320. So 1/10 of 320 is 32. So your answer is F. You could also have done a proportion, which means we would multiply 10 by 32 and 1 by 32 to get 32 3/20ths, which still gives us F as our answer. All right, so in continuing with these notes, you should also do page 403 and do exercises 1 to 8 all. In class, we will be working on these problems right here. Good luck.